Yeah.
Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, Mr. Johnny the Greek, better known across the nation as Johnny the Freak. You can find him on Twitter at GDaddy80. Johnny, my man, how are you doing tonight?
All right, doing all right. Weird baseball day today, but we're gonna attack these two little short slates we have tomorrow, where hopefully we don't have a lot of PPDs. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, definitely gotta avoid those PPDs, as they say. I'm looking for a bounce back. This was probably one of the worst nights that I've had in MLB DFS in a while. I got bailed out a little bit by my cash games. But in tournaments, man, I was wrong about so much. And I'm looking to bounce back today, man. So I'm glad to be breaking down two slates with you today. Give me two slates at redemption, because I need it after today, man. Just all over the board. I did not think McCullers was going to do what he did. Didn't think that Corbin was going to go out there and do what he did. Corbin, I'm not as surprised about, but some of these guys, man, they really surprised me. Johnny Cueto, wow. I know you're a Giants homer freak. Were you on Cueto today? I know you're a Giants homer. I'm just saying.
No.
Ugh.
No, but I wasn't against them. You know.
Right? Yeah. I wasn't big on the offenses either in that game. I just wasn't sold on the pitching. Like Corbin, I liked Corbin. I thought he was too expensive, and Cueto, I just did not see that coming. I'll be honest with you, I did not see that coming. The only thing I got right today was Cahill. That was literally the only thing I got right today.
Yeah, I got the Cleveland right. No one was really on that. I liked it a lot today. But the one thing with Cueto is he's dropped some. He's changed his. Well, his velocity's down a little bit, but what he's done is he's changed some of his movements, which he's been getting more deceptive. Like he always has that delay in his pitching motion, but he's actually kind of changed it up a little bit, and he's actually lowered his arm angle a little bit. So it's been a little bit harder to read from him. I was reading an article on that, or actually after as I was arriving to this show, I was a little bit late, and I was reading an article on the drive home and seeing why he was doing as well as he's been doing. So changed a little bit of his arm angle, so he's a little bit more deceptive. So if this continues another game or two, I might be something I jump on.
Yeah, man. No, I totally understand. He looked great. And we know Arizona can strike out with the best of them, but still, he just looked phenomenal. I ended up with one Indian stack. I had a bunch of Lindor, so as the one-off, which I don't do a lot of one-offs, and somehow I got stuck with a I don't even know. I was crushed. I was texting Paulie, I was sick. I was literally sick, and then it just got worse and worse as the slate went on with the pitchers. But I'm done with that. It's over. All right. Yeah. I'm talking to you right now so that I can get by that slate.
Absolutely.
And let's move on here, bro. We're going to start off with this first. We're going to do double slates here. I'm going to try to remember to do the timestamp, but I'm not good at it. Somebody out there keeps correcting me with it, and I appreciate it. So if I mess up again, please do it again. If I mess up the timestamp, please do me a favor, whoever you are, and hook it up and give us the right one. So first game here, Johnny, we got Kevin the Gas Can Gausman of the Baltimore Orioles visiting Matt Boyd, the lefty from the Detroit Tigers. This is another one of them games where we could have some weather. Seems like it just rains every day in Detroit, man, doesn't it? Seems like they just can't play. They can't get a game in over there. But we're looking at 40-degree temperatures. We're looking at wind blowing from right now. It's going from left to right field. Exactly. Really no benefit. And then looks like we have 50% chance of precipitation. So hopefully the game should play. As of right now, we are looking at a total of 9. And Detroit is a plus 102 home underdog. What you got here, man?
Yeah, so Kevin Gausman looked a little bit better last game here. I know he was going against Toronto and with the slider, and Toronto's batting against sliders, but I think you can go here with Gausman today. Wind's blowing a little bit to home plate, about 4 miles an hour. It's really cold there. It's 42 degrees. I do have some concern about this game being called because of cold weather. We got hit with that with the Angels game this weekend. So if something happens like that, it'll be devastating for the slate because I really like this game. So Kevin Gausman's in play for me. He's not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but I definitely think you can use him, especially if we find that Jacobs what's his name? Corey, what's his Caleb Joseph.
Yeah, Caleb Joseph.
As long as if Caleb Joseph is in his catcher, he's a good pitch framer. He's a good catcher. I definitely like Gausman that much more. And I have really no interest here on the Detroit bats against Gausman. I think Gausman's is okay here, but I do like some of these righty power guys against Matt Boyd here. And some of the cheaper guys too are my favorite plays. Like I like Danny Valencia a lot. He's really good against lefties. He actually has some good BVP here as well. Machado looks good to me tomorrow. I see Adam Jones is okay tomorrow. And I actually have some interest in Chris Davis, the original Crush Davis tomorrow. Those are probably my 3 favorite plays on the Orioles side. And then I'm just not really interested in the Tigers. Even though it's a higher spread, cold weather against a righty, I'm not really interested. Too many righties.
Yeah, man. I'm with you. I think Gausman definitely showed us a lot. I played him against Toronto. He came through for me. I did play him the first 2 games where he did not come through for me, so I think he owed me that one. And I'm hoping he owes me one more. He's very cheap on DraftKings at 6'4". I mean, he's only $400 more expensive than Boyd. And I'm not sure, but I could have sworn Miggy left the game early today with some kind of ailment. So he may, as of right now, I don't see a tag, but there should be. He may not play tomorrow. And that's obviously a big bat for the Tigers. Guy that doesn't strike out a ton, guy that puts the ball in play. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Gausman's in a decent spot despite the high total. And Matt Boyd, man, I would think this could be the get-right spot for Baltimore. They've been struggling against lefties. They're very streaky against lefties. Sometimes they can heat up against them, and I would think this is the get-right spot, but we just don't know, man. The way the Orioles have looked, it's tough to say. But obviously, when you look at this team, I'm surprised that spread, in my opinion, is so low. Like there you go, 113. Gausman against Boyd, Baltimore against Detroit, and it's minus 113. That's it. That's how bad Baltimore's been playing. But I expect them to right the ship, man. I really do. I know the weather's cold, and like Johnny said, this game might be more risky. We do have 6 games in this early slate, so maybe it's too risky for us to even look at. But on a first look, I definitely think these guys are going to play, especially if the weather clears up a bit. Got to watch out for cold weather, don't we, Johnny?
Yeah, and then absolutely, and for those BVP truthers out there, the guys that really look at BVP, nobody has good BVP against Kevin Gausman in this matchup on Detroit. So I think you can go there. And the cold weather definitely is going to help the pitchers here. So it depends on how cold it is tomorrow. I might not have a lot of interest at the end of the day with the Baltimore bats, but I do have interest in Gausman at this price.
Yeah, no, I agree. I could see a world where Baltimore is disappointing, but I think Gausman is definitely the strongest play here in this game. Let's move it on over to the next one. We've got Cole Hamels of the Texas Rangers visiting Jacob Faria, a young kid from the Tampa Bay Rays. Looks like we have a 7.5 game total here. Tampa Bay minus 115 home favorites. Wow. They gave this kid as a slight home favorite over Cole Hamels. Interesting.
Yeah, so he turned it around last game. He had 2 games against Boston to start the year out, and he didn't have good outings. And then he last outing actually was really good. So he looked good. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's a good young prospect. It was a DFS darling last year. People wanted to play him. He was really cheap. He's a little cheap tomorrow. I think you can go back here tomorrow. I think the Rangers definitely got some of their frustrations out today, scored some runs. But I think Faria's a good enough pitcher who can maneuver around here. I like the total here at 7.5. So it's definitely telling me that Vegas is agreeing with me here. We don't really want a lot of the offense here, is what Vegas is saying. But I actually am okay with a Rays stack here. I like all the righties here, so probably going to be really contrarian tomorrow. So I definitely could do that. So some Faria tomorrow for me and some big GBPs, and definitely I'm interested in the Tampa Bay stack. And if you do play Faria tomorrow, and there's some better pitchers down here that we're going to talk about. If you do play some Faria, don't be afraid to hedge it with a lefty stack from Texas if you do get a lot of exposure there, because Texas showed today that they can get hot and score runs in a bunch. So you might want to go there.
Yeah, man, I think Faria definitely in play here. He came through for me against the Phillies. My dude definitely was a get-right spot for him. I couldn't believe so many people were off of him. He played 2 games against Boston. Look what Boston did to Ohtani today. My boy, man, they roughed him up. And dude, Faria had 2 games against Boston, had 2 bad games. It was against Boston. I mean, he had the Phillies next. I like Faria, man. I'm definitely with it. Cole Hamels, I mean, if you wanted to play Cole Hamels, I'm not going to hate on you. I understand the Rays do strike out a ton, but they do seem to be heating up a little bit here. And I'm not a Cole Hamels guy personally, so I lean more towards Faria for sure. I think you're right, Johnny. I think some of these Rays could be a nice little low on stack for us here, despite the low total. And yeah, I think if you're going heavy on Faria, you should definitely hedge with these Rangers because they are capable and they do have a lot of lefties. Let's move it on over to this next one. We've got Tyler Mahle of the Cincinnati Reds visiting Zach Davies of Cam's Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, there's some snow forecasted, but it don't matter because Milwaukee plays with a roof. So we shouldn't have a problem here. Let me take a look real quick. We got an 8.5 total here, and we have a minus 150 spread. Milwaukee is obviously a 150 home favorite. What do you got here, Johnny?
Yeah, we could have some issue if there's a hole in the roof like it was in Toronto the last game. And also, or if there's like rain and it's in like New Orleans and there's a hole in the roof and they can't get the tarp to take all the rain. So there's always, I don't care what stadium it is, let me tell you, Major League Sports in general right now will find a way to cancel a game. It's ridiculous. But for me, I have absolutely no interest in either of these pitchers. Zach Davies, I don't think is very good. Tyler Mahle might be good down the road, but he's going to look like a gas can tomorrow here for me on the Brewers. I think you can go ahead and stack both of these teams up here. I think a game stack is firmly in play. I think this total here is a little low at 8.5 for this matchup, but definitely I think go at it tomorrow with these two teams.
Go at it, man. These guys were super disappointing today.
Oh yeah, they were.
Oh, super disappointing. I do see Scott Schebler in the projected lineup. So if he's ready to make his return, I can get me some of that, man. I miss that dude. I think the Reds miss that dude crazy, man. I think he's pretty talented. I'm cool with some of these Reds, man. Joey Votto disappointed me today. Played him in cash. I knew better. He's been cold, but I'm willing to go back there, man. He knows Davies. He's played against him for a few years now. And they are in Milwaukee, so I'm going to keep going until he finally hits one for me. Adam Duvall, another guy with power. I'm certainly cool with him. Long story short, I think I'm with you, Johnny. I think I'm leaning on the bats here on both sides. We know Tyler Mahle and the rest of the Cincinnati Reds pitching staff is nothing to be afraid of unless you're the Milwaukee Brewers, apparently, because Sal Romano did okay against them. But I'm willing to go back to the bats again here. Better hitting environment. We don't got to worry about no weather. We may have to worry about some crazy roof shit, like you said. But in all seriousness, I think it's one of the safer spots on the board. At least it seems that way first look. But of course, in baseball, what we like to call the fail sport, there is no such thing as safe. Either way, I'm with you, Johnny. Bats it is. Let's move on to this next one. We've got Luke Weaver. Here we go, to the Wise Take favorite, visiting John Lester, the lefty from the Chicago Cubs. We do have some weather. But before we get to the weather, it looks like we are waiting on a total. Obviously, we know Chicago always waits for the day of to release, depending on the wind forecast. So we don't have a total, but Chicago is a minus 111 home favorite here. I'm seeing projected winds blowing in from center field at 13 miles per hour. The problem is it also looks like there's a 43% chance of precipitation, and it's going to be about 36 degrees. So another game that we may have to worry about being too cold.
Yeah, so I got wind at 17 blowing in. I got 80% humidity tomorrow, 45% humidity starting through the game, and they're gonna have to play through rain. It's not gonna stop raining. I don't see any break here for rain. I see like it starts out low precipitation and it goes up all the way through. So it goes from 45 and then it goes up to 74 and then it goes all the way up to 75. So if it starts. The best chances is this to start clean because it's going to rain, it looks like, throughout the day. I don't think this game gets in tomorrow, and it's really sad because I really wanted to play Weaver. But
yeah, man. No, I'm with you.
It is what it is.
I'm with you. I like that kid, Luke Weaver.
Yeah.
We know.
I love the Cardinals bats against Lester.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll take that. Just in case it does play, we'll go ahead and say it. We like Weaver. Don't like Lester. We like the Cardinals. Yeah. Anybody on the Cardinals that can steal a base, just take them. John Lester cannot throw the first base. And then, of course, Yadier Molina has really good BVP. I think Marcelo Ozuna has hit pretty good against Leicester in a smaller sample. If Yorko is back in the lineup, I know he's been hurt. If he's back in the lineup, we know he's a lefty masher. So, yeah, I think nice, short, sweet, and simple.
Yeah, the guys you're looking at would be Ozuna, as you said. Jerko's got great numbers here. Even Molina has got good numbers. And then Jose Martinez got good numbers. Those are the guys you want to target.
Yeah, and then anybody that can steal the base, like Pham, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pham. Anybody that's not Matt Carpenter, basically. and Molina. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, if you wanted to take some shots on the Cubs bats, I'm not going to hate on it. You got Kyle Schwarber, Rizzo, Happ. These guys got big time bats, so I get it. But I'm with you, man. I so far of all the pitchers we've seen, I do like Weaver. Next game we got Carson Fulmer, the Chicago White Sox, visiting Andrew Triggs, who's looked impressive this season, of the Oakland Athletics. Looks like we have an 8.5 game total here. Oakland is a minus 200 favorite. They have been red hot. Their bats continue to stay hot. Looks like we have 58-degree temperatures, 48% humidity out in Oaktown. Johnny, that's over by you. What you got here?
Yeah, I love Triggs tomorrow in this matchup. This looks great for him against the White Sox. Only thing is we have 12-mile-an-hour wind blowing out right now to right center, and it's a little humid tomorrow, and it's not hot. It's about 58, so this game will probably play. The humidity is okay. That's not going to really impact the game. I'm more concerned about the winds, because again, like where Triggs does give it up to is going to be the lefties here, but this also favors all the lefties on the Athletics here. So, Triggs is definitely in play. I don't want any Carson Fulmer. If you play Triggs, you can definitely take, Matt Joyce is a great play tomorrow. He's going to be cheap, so I love that play. And then don't forget, if you're going to stack this team, don't forget Jed Lowry, man. This guy's been on fire lately. I definitely like that. Crush Davis, baby Crush Davis here, Chris Davis, with the K. He's still good against righties. People don't want to play him against righties, but he still mashes them. He's not as good against righties as his lefties, but he's still pretty good. And then you can't forget Matt Olson in your stack here. He's just been lighting it up here. He's probably the best bat they have here. So I think you go there. Chicago, if you're not going to pitch Triggs, you could take a shot on like a one-off like a Nicky Delmonico. I think he's in play. And maybe like a Jan Makata, but I don't really like it. I think I'm just going to go pitch Triggs and stack up the A's.
Yeah, on a first look, this seems like a really good spot for Triggs to me. He's pitched well. He's got a matchup. Cahill looked great tonight against the White Sox. I think that most right-handed pitchers that are any kind of decent are going to do good against the White Sox. So, yeah, they're in Oakland, bigger stadium. A little concerned about the wind, but it is chilly out there. It is still a very large park. I like Triggs a lot going into this matchup against Chicago, and I will continue to play these A's at least a little bit. They're just too hot to ignore right now. Although I've seen Carson Fulmer have games where, not that he pitched great, but I've seen him have games where he really limited damage, so we'll keep that in mind. Next game here, we got Ian Kennedy, the Kansas City Royals, visiting J.A. Happ, the lefty from the Toronto Blue Jays. Holy shit, I just saw J.A. Happ's price, and it is no joke, 9.6 for J.A. Happ on DraftKings. Wow. The total we have in this game is currently 8.5. Toronto, a minus 200 home favorite. These teams did just play a doubleheader the day before, which means the roof is fixed, Johnny. The roof is fixed. What do you got here, man?
So, I don't know what's more concerning to me, that J. Happ is $9,600 on DraftKings, or that J. Happ is a minus 200 favorite in any game. So very concerning to me, because Kansas City's not a strikeout team. They definitely are very pesky, and we're going to a much smaller ballpark here. There's a lot of righties that can really get to Happ here. Whit Merrifield's a great hitter. Soler, I get it. There's not a murderous row bunch of hitters here, but you got Moustakas, who hits lefties pretty well. You got John Jay. You got Lucas Duda, who's been a little bit of a slump. So I guess I can see. I think that the spread here is a little too high. And I don't think I could pay $9,600 for Happ tomorrow. I'm gonna have to do some looking into this, but I think if you don't want to play Happ, I think you can definitely play Whit Merrifield here. I think he's in a great spot. And then on the Toronto side here, Like I don't know if I want to stack against Kennedy with this lineup. I don't think this lineup's really that great of a lineup without Donaldson in here. And Kennedy's looked pretty good so far this year. He's looked a lot better than he has. So I think if I'm gonna go anywhere here, I think I would just play a couple of the plays here. I think like I can go to like Curtis Granderson and maybe Justin Smoke, and maybe Solarte. Those would probably be my favorite plays here. But I don't think I want a full stack here of Toronto. Like I don't think Kennedy's is that punching bag that he's been over the last couple of years.
Yeah, man, I feel more comfortable attacking Kennedy in really small parks and with teams that don't really strike out. The Blue Jays don't strike out a ton, but like you said, they're missing a pretty big bat in Josh Donaldson. So I'm with you. I'm not too excited about that. Plus, they did just play a doubleheader. We'll be curious to see what guys they actually throw out in this lineup. J.A. Happ is interesting. My first reaction was to puke when I saw the 9-6. That was my first reaction. But as you were talking and I started thinking about it, just for game theory purposes alone, I wonder how many people actually play J.A. Happ tomorrow at 9-6. And if not a lot of people are going to do it, I may give it a shot, even though I just talk shit about him. Because I did check, and last year he did do decent against these guys. I don't think he did 9-6 decent, but he did do well. Even if he paid 9-6, the scores he put up last year in 2 games against these guys, you would have been fine with. And like even just looking like it seems like a lot of these Orioles really do struggle against them. Again, I'm not trying to dig. There's really not a ton of sample here, but I mean, Mike Moustakas is 1 for 12. Alcides Escobar is 1 for 20, but he's 1 for 20 against everybody. It seems like so it doesn't really matter. But either way, maybe J.A. Happ is worth a look. I mean, he might be worth a look in tournaments. I know my initial reaction was the same as yours, man. We'll see a 9-6. What the hell? But maybe that just like kind of how you were catching on at the end, you were like, you know what, man, I gotta look at this before I say that. Before I say any more, I need to dig into this spot.
Well, because I'm looking at the pitch. Well, yeah, you know what it is you look at the pitching on this slate, and there's not like a ton of big great options. But like, I know that if I was gonna pay up, I'd rather pay up for Triggs tomorrow against the White Sox than paying up for Happ at 96. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll do some more digging into it. Maybe there's some pitch type here, differentials that we can come up with, and maybe I'll be locked into them. But right now, like, he just looks expensive.
He does look expensive. He does. But he has been pitching extremely well. We have to acknowledge that. Still think 9-6 is steep, but from a game theory perspective, we'll give it a maybe.
Yeah.
That's the early slate. That's going to wrap it up. We got 7 games for the main. Let me see what it is. It was 23:07, 23:08, 20. Man. Yeah, it's about the 23-minute mark. So I'm gonna do that thing. Let's talk about this now. We got Carlos Carrasco of the Cleveland Indians, main slate, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7:10 Eastern start. Carlos Carrasco of the Cleveland Indians visiting Jose Berrios of the Minnesota Twins. This should be really interesting. Let me check the line real fast before I let you talk, Johnny. 7.5 is the total. Minnesota, a plus 115 home underdog. Paulie D sending me the bookmark. Appreciate it. This should be interesting. This game is going to be now. Last night, Cash and I did the podcast. We didn't realize that the game was in Puerto Rico. We didn't realize that until the next day when I woke up and to a plethora of tweets of people telling me the game is in Puerto Rico. We know this game is in Puerto Rico, and I believe Jose Berrios, according to Paulie D, is Puerto Rican. We saw Lindor showed up today, hit his bomb. Yeah.
And Ramirez, don't forget Ramirez.
Yes. The Twins, I mean, the Indians did come alive. Somehow they evaded my lineups, despite the fact they're my favorite stack. I need to analyze my process, and I need to slow shit down. I still feel sick about that. Anyway, Johnny, talk to me about this game, man.
Yeah, so we're looking at much warmer temperature there, so it's a decent hitting environment. The one thing we do have is some wind blowing in, which is going to help out the pitching a little bit here. But you got 2 good pitchers here. You got Carlos Carrasco, and you do have Jose Berrios here. The problem with Carrasco here, we'll start with him, is that he gets a little wild once in a while here, and he could definitely give it up. But this guy's got electric stuff. I don't think I'm going to probably take a pitcher in this game. I think I'm going to probably pass there. I just think with the hitting environment here, with both these pitchers here, Jose Berrios could definitely give it up here. There's enough hitters here on the Indian side where they can really rough him up. I'm not really interested I'm probably going to pass on the bats here, to be honest with you. It's probably going to be a fade for me, but I think I would lean with the bats here. I just think that there's just too much on Cleveland's side to play Berrios. And on Carlos Carrasco, he just gets a little bit too wild for me once in a while, and there are some bats that can hurt him. But I think he's got a better shot at his small favorite to get a win here. He can definitely limit the damage. So if I had to pick a pitcher from here, it would be Carlos Carrasco. I prefer not to have to pitch either pitcher, even though I like them both as pitchers. And I would definitely prefer the Cleveland bats over Minnesota bats here. But I really want to fade just this game in general.
Yeah, it's interesting, this game. Carlos Carrasco hasn't looked great so far this season. I mean, actually, in 3 starts this season, his K per 9 is like 6. I don't know what his deal is. Even against Detroit, he's coming off a monster performance against Detroit. The Detroit Tigers, the right-handed Detroit Tigers. He only struck out 6 in 9 innings. He did go 9 innings, which props, got the complete game shut. He only got 6 strikeouts. That's a little concerning. His opponents before that, like, you got Seattle, like, I sort of get it, you know, like, they're a team that doesn't strike out a ton. Kansas City, okay, but Detroit? What the hell? You know what I'm saying? What the hell? That concerns me a little bit. It looks like his velocity is down almost a full mile per hour, so that there might be some underlying issues to that. His swinging strike rate still looks okay at 11, but last year, this dude went through the whole season last year at 13, which is... So, like, I'm seeing a little bit of a drop-off. And to be honest, I was impressed. Kluber did well, but I was still impressed with what the Twins were doing. They were not giving up. They were going at that dude. They got him out of there after 6 innings. He only got 6 strikeouts. Corey Kluber only got 6 strikeouts. I think I could lean a little bit towards the Twins bats here, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Indians bats are fine. I'm not saying I don't like the Indians bats. I just think that's the more obvious play. I think the Twins bats may be worth a look, and we're gonna have to look into. I'm gonna have to ask Paulie D to break out these umpires for us tomorrow. I think there's gonna be a big deal what umpires we get here. And as far as Jose Berrios, I'd love to play him in Puerto Rico, his home country. But he hasn't really shown me the strikeout upside away from the Twin Stadium. I forget what it's called. And
Target Stadium.
There you go. There you go, Target Field. And the Indians don't strike out. So it's kind of leaving you in like a weird place. I want to do it, I don't know if I can. I think I'm going to lean towards the bats on both sides here, despite the low total. I think the total is low based off perception. I think Vegas set the total low because it's like Carrasco and Berrios. We got a name here. Let's make a low total. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this game go over. My first impression of it. Let's move it right along, Johnny. We got Tanner Roark of the Washington Nationals. I hate those guys. Visiting Steven Matz of my New York Mets. The weather is finally warming up a little bit. I am so happy. It has been freezing around here. But we're looking at 57 degrees. How about that? I'm happy for 57 degrees. Johnny, do you feel bad for me at all? I'm talking about man in California. I'm excited for 57 degree temperatures. That's how cold I've been these last few days here. Don't answer that though, Johnny. Don't answer that. Save face. But we do have an 8-run total. The Mets a minus 105 home favorite on the slide. Actually, they're actually a 105 home underdog. Looks like the Nationals are minus 115. All right, Johnny, what you got for me on my Metsies?
Yeah, man. So we got 12-mile-an-hour wind going out to looks like right center. Ish, maybe more towards center. So yeah, I think I like some of the bats here. I think you could take a look at both sides. The only thing is, I'm really afraid to play Bryce Harper. I don't like him in this matchup, so I think I'd probably pass up on him tomorrow. A lot of guys have been just walking him. I think that's just a very safe way to go about it. Just give him the automatic walk. That way it doesn't raise your pitch count or anything like that either. So, Matt, that might be smart for you tomorrow. Just give him 4 passes, like Barry Bonds style. But this time you don't even have to throw the ball, so you don't even waste the pitches. So it's good. I like a lot of the lefties here on the Mets against Roark. I think regression's going to come for Roark here pretty soon. I don't think he's a good pitcher. I think he's been pitching over his head a little bit here lately. But I definitely like some of these lefties here. I like Conforto a lot. I like Asdrubal. Nemo's okay. Yeah, Asdrubal.
That's what Met fans call it, bro.
Exactly.
That's what Met fans call
it. Yep. And then I even think Gonzalez isn't play tomorrow against Roark. I'm not really afraid of him. I can see him having a good game because he's been pitching good. But again, I think regression is going to come, and I think these Mets are going to have a good game tomorrow. And on the other side here, the only guys that are in play for me are going to be like Zimmerman and I don't know if he's going to make the lineup here, but maybe Rodon if he makes the lineup here. But
Rendon.
He's on the projected lineup here.
Rendon, he's been dealing with a little bit of injuries. He's not on the DL or anything, so he could play. But
so if he makes it, then I can definitely go there. And I don't like Matt Wieters tomorrow. If they were to put in Pedro Serviano, I could definitely play him tomorrow as catcher. Got a lot of power. I definitely like that. And Matt's throws that hard, straight fastball, so he could definitely hit one out here. So don't have a ton of interest in this game, but I just think some of those plays I talked about are in play. And I'm not on either of these pitchers tomorrow.
Yeah, man, I'd like to believe that Matz is like back because his K per 9 is really high. His velocity's fine, like his other pitchers are fine. I got to see a little more. His swinging strike rate is like 6.4. It's not very good. And he's the kind of guy that when you hit the ball, when you make contact, it usually goes places. His hard contact rate is usually pretty elevated. I'm looking for it right now to double check it. I think it is up 31%. Though it's like 31.4%. That's not what bothers me. What bothers me is the soft contact, 17.1%. He's not getting a ton of guys. Like when guys hit him, they're hitting them pretty hard, and that's really concerning. The Mets have lost 2 in a row to these guys, but they did sweep them back in Washington. So I think Washington's out to try to pay him back for it. Again, Mats has been impressive with his upside. Like, Mats' K numbers have been solid. I just don't know. The weather's warming up a little bit. Like you said, Johnny, we got some wind blowing out a little here. I don't think I could do it with Mats. Maybe if we don't have enough pitchers for me to roster, I may have to take a chance on them. Just because the Nationals, we have to admit, the Nationals do strike out a ton. When they're not hitting well. So, I'll have to put that on the back burner. As far as Tanner Roark, don't think I could do it, man. I never really pitched this guy, and I don't think I'm going to start now. I don't mind the Mets here, but again, it's your usual suspects. Michael Conforto, Yoenis Cespedes, Jay Bruce. It's the usual suspects. I don't think there's anything cute about it. Nothing fancy here. And to be honest, Johnny, I'm not crazy about this game in general. Let's move it over. We got Vincent Velasquez of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting Brandon McCarthy of the Atlanta Braves. Total here, as soon as I can find it, looks like our total here is going to be 8.5, pretty high. Atlanta a -115 home favorite. Looks like we're going to have some 77-degree temperatures, 42% humidity, 12-mile-per-hour winds, but it looks like they're blowing from right to left field. No real benefit to any hitters. What do you got here?
Yeah, so it's a weird way the wind's blowing out. It's blowing out from first to left field. It looks a little weird here. But that I think is going to help the pitchers a little bit here. But honestly, in this small ballpark, it's a lefty ballpark. Velasquez has been pitched well in the last 2 matchups, but really struggled against the Braves earlier this year. Braves have just a lot of good lefties here. I think for me, If it was again Vincent Velasquez would have pitched probably against somebody else, on this slate I might be interested, but they're just way too pesky here, the Braves. They're a bunch of good hitters here, so I think I can stack the Braves tomorrow. I like all the lefties here. I even think you can throw Kurt Suzuki in a stack here. I prefer Preston Tucker over Kurt Suzuki, but you can go there. And McCarthy's not a gas can again, but there's a bunch of good hitters here on Philly. And with that short wall over there, and with right field being very, very close, I like all the lefties here. I think you can go ahead and play the Phillies lefties as well. You can get like Kingery in. You can play Santana, Herrera, and then Hoskins just got so much power he can hit anybody out. So I really like those guys tomorrow. I hope Nick Williams makes the lineup tomorrow. That would solidify a Philly stack for me. So I'm not going to play either pitchers tomorrow, but definitely I think both sides you can play.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think for future reference, I do want to keep an eye on these Phillies. I know that they're a little more improved. Their lineup, Rhys Hoskins, is amazing. But they are striking out at an impressive clip, man. We saw Julio Teheran went over there and did this thing at home, just struck a ton of them out. And Fulton Nevis, before, I'm not sure how he ended up, but I know in the beginning of the game he was racking up some strikeouts. So we're going to want to keep an eye on Philly. I don't think Brandon McCarthy is the guy here. I think that I'm with you, Johnny, in this particular spot. I think we want to attack the bats. Vincent Velasquez has looked good, but he played Miami, and in his last 2 games, it was Miami and Tampa. So we can't put too much weight into that. Like you said, Johnny, the Braves are a much different team. Very pesky, a lot of power, especially when they're at home in this ballpark. There's a lot of good pitchers that I won't take against the Braves. I'm certainly not going to take Vince Velasquez. Nothing against him. I think Velasquez has great upside, and I like the fact that he seems like he's starting to get his stuff back together because I do like playing that kid. Not against these Braves, though. And McCarthy's same thing. For future reference, Nation, we want to keep an eye on these Phillies. They're striking out a ton, but this is not the spot, I don't think. I think we want to stick with the bats in this spot, especially with the warmer weather, a little bit of humidity. I like this spot for the bats.
I got one bit of information for you. So you brought up Tehran here, and he struck a bunch of guys out. Just to give you, everybody here in the nation, a nugget of information here. But you never want to play against Taillon at home. He's really good at home. He's terrible against lefties on the right. And Tehran. He's terrible against lefties on the road. But for some reason, he's really good at home.
He used to be. Not anymore. He used to be good at home when they were playing in the old Turner Field. When they got this new stadium, he got fucked. He had a terrible year at home last year. Lefties against home last year was just the year before. The years before that, he was phenomenal at home. When they were in the old Brave Stadium, Turner Field, it was huge. So he was great. It was a perfect park for him. Ever since they made to move, what was it, last year? Was their first full year in this ballpark, or was it the year before that? I think it was last year, right? This new ballpark is just horrible for him. It's just the lefties. It's just too rough for lefties. He is very, very good against right-handed pitching. Tehran is very, very good against righties.
Hitters.
I'm sorry, you're right. Correct. Very, very good against right-handed hitters. He is not very good against lefties. When you put him in a big ballpark, he can get by it. He can do fine. You put him in this small ballpark, the lefties were just tearing him up last year. So I know what you mean. When you look at the stats, it's going to show he has good home splits. But if you look at last year specifically, the first year in this new ballpark, he got crushed here. So it's kind of like just a stadium, just like that. Listen, they had a choice: build your new stadium for Tehran, build your new stadium for Freddie Freeman, and they built it for Freddie Freeman. So I can't disagree.
Well, that and all the lefties to have.
I can't disagree. But just to clarify, yes, he used to be great at home when they were playing at Turner Field because it was a pitcher's park. He's not anymore. This new stadium is not very good for his style. And that's why I think it's all the more impressive that he struck out so many Phillies. And that's why I wanted to point out that for future reference, we may want to look to attack these Phillies a little bit more.
Well, I should have dug in a little deeper because I played way too much Tehran then, and it worked out.
It worked out.
Their aggression worked out. So
anyway. There you go.
I still think both offenses are in play here tomorrow. I think you really want to look at them. I wouldn't play any of the pitchers.
Yeah, I agree with you on this particular spot. Let's move it over to this next one here. We've got Chris Stratton. Oh, this is interesting. Chris Stratton of the San Francisco Giants visiting Robbie Ray, the lefty from the the Arizona Diamondbacks here. Humidor. Gotta love the humidor. Looks like our total here is 8.5. Arizona is a -140 home favorite. What are you doing with the D-backs? And your Giants, bro. My bad. This is Johnny's Giants here. You gotta give us the lowdown. You gotta give me the lowdown on Stratton and your boys.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you guys are following BVP, you got to understand what BVP is and when it's good to look at BVP, when it's not. Do not look at the Giants BVP tomorrow against Robbie Ray, okay? Because all these guys are old Giants. They're all old players. They've been in the league a long time. They don't hit this well anymore, okay? When you come to San Francisco as a hitter, you're going there to the end of your career. Nobody wants you anymore. Longoria, nobody wants him anymore. Hunter Pence, he's old. Andrew McCutchen, these guys in their primes were great hitters, and that's when all these great numbers were from. When Robbie Ray was a bad pitcher, or he had injuries and all this stuff, I should say. But these numbers aren't current. Hunter Pence is not a really good hitter anymore. Evan Longoria is not a good hitter, Andrew McCutchen. So don't go by BVP. You have to look at the more current stuff. So I just want to throw that out there. If you think you're out getting an edge tomorrow because you're looking at the BVP, it's you might get lucky and one of those guys hits something, but they're not good plays tomorrow. I just want to throw that out there. I think Robbie Ray is a phenomenal play tomorrow against the Giants. Giants, man, they're just not very good. I get it. This ballpark can give it up a little bit here, but just look what Corbin did today. The Giants team, their best hitters are lefties, not righties. Robbie Ray's a good lefty. Giants are just going to get crushed tomorrow. Brandon Belt and Buster Posey and Joe Panic, those are the better hitters. They all hit lefties, righties well. And if they're not going to get to Corbin,
you mean you hit lefties? Robbie Ray's a lefty.
Yeah. I'm saying they hit righties well, and they play Corbin.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so if they can't get to Corbin today,
well, Corbin's
and
a lefty
good
too.
Lefties.
You're confusing me. Corbin's a lefty, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking. What's his name? With the beard. Bradley. Archie Bradley, right? Archie Bradley.
The reliever, the closer.
Right. Yeah. I always confuse those guys all through. But if you can't get to Corbin today, like you're not going to get to him to Ray. I think they're fine. The only guy I can see maybe getting to him would be McCutchen, but I don't really have a lot of hope in McCutchen these days. So I think you want to go ahead and pass there. And then I think you could take a look at Stratton. I don't think is very good. Do we know if the roof's open tomorrow or closed?
I think it's supposed to be open according to their actual official website or whatever. It said it was going to be open for like the next few days or something like that.
So then I have some interest in Arizona here. Maybe Alex Avila. Always have interest in Paul Goldschmidt. I can't wait till Lamb gets back here. I think that's going to really get this offense going. And don't sleep on David Peralta tomorrow. This guy's got a lot of power. He's leading off. He can definitely steal some bases too. So I think he's probably in the best spot of everybody here. So if you want to stack it, stack's definitely good on the Arizona side. But if you just want a one-off play, I think my favorite play in this game is the Peralta.
Yeah, I'm curious to see which way this line moves. I'm expecting the Sharps to bet the Giants here, believe it or not. And the reason I say that is because I just think that it's like I always talk about perception in Vegas, and so everybody just watched Corbin just really shut down the Giants. Granted, we did watch Cueto shut down the D-backs, but Chris Stratton's not exactly a name. Robbie Ray is supposed to be better than Patrick Corbin. So I expect the public to heavily be betting this Arizona Diamondbacks lineup. So if that line goes in favor of the D-backs, if it's up to 150, 160, all right, man, I think Ray's the way to go. But if I see that line come down, if I see it come down to 130, 120, I may have to take a chance on the Giants. And here's the reason, Johnny. It's not just because I'm trying to be just contrarian to be contrarian. The reason is because Robbie Ray's velocity is down almost 2 full miles per hour. Last year he averaged 94.3. He's averaging 92.4 this season. On top of that, his hard contact rate so far this season is extremely high. I think it's in the 40s right now. Yeah. His soft contact in 2018 so far is 8%. That's a soft contact rate. His hard contact rate is 48.6% right now. So I know the Giants had a hard time hitting against Corbin, but I don't know, man. I think Corbin and Ray are kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think Corbin is looking a lot better than we've seen. He's having he looks great this year, and I think Ray's on the other end of it. Now, I'm not trying to hate on Robbie Ray too much. I think it's fine if you want to play the guy, play him, because his strikeout numbers are still there. His K per night looks phenomenal. His swinging strike rate is still high. Not as high as it was last year, but still high. But this hard contact rate does scare me, man. That in combination with the velocity being down, I'm a little worried. And I'm pretty sure, didn't Robbie Ray get roughed up by these guys back in San Francisco?
He didn't. Well, he pitched really well until the 7th inning.
And
then he gave up. He had one hit. He one-hit them until the 7th inning because I played him.
No.
And then
he didn't go 7. No, he went 4 2/3. He went 4 2/3.
Okay, was Corbin went 7 innings and then gave up the 5 hits?
Corbin had 9.
Is that what it was?
That was the guy. Corbin had 9 Ks, and then he gave up 1 or 2 runs. So he did fine. But Robbie Ray didn't do so hot, man. 4 2/3. He was chalked that day. 3 earned runs, 3 walks, only 6 strikeouts. I mean, 6 strikeouts and 4 2/3 is nice. But it's concerning that he only went that long, and it's concerning that he got bombed.
The Giants are pesky. I'm not. Mm-hmm. Again, I like Robbie. They're a pesky team. They don't strike out a lot, but also they don't hit for a lot of power. So if he can, maneuver around them, he can definitely get there. I don't think he's my favorite pitcher on this slate, but I definitely think that he can get there. So I would definitely take a look at him. I get what you're saying about the line movement. That's definitely meaning a lot nowadays, especially the early season in Major League Baseball. I want to take a look at that, but I think if you're looking for safety, if you're looking for a win tomorrow, I think he's one of the safer pitchers for a win. I think he's going to give up some runs. I don't think he's going to go clean. He got let's see, last time he went 4.5. We went 4 2/3, I should say. Gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, 6 Ks, 3 walks. I mean, he didn't get murdered.
No, but like it's a little concerning that he only went 4 2/3. That's concerning.
He was a little wild, but then I look at this a team that was really pesky the game before that, and he pitched against the Cardinals, who I think are a much better hitting team, and he had a good outing there. But Robbie Ray, doesn't he profile pitching much better at home typically than he does on the road? Isn't it like a thing with him? I know this year
you know what
he had a really bad outing against Colorado.
He typically goes for more strikeouts at home because he doesn't want to give up any hard. He's afraid to give up the contact. But he doesn't really look like he hasn't. I mean, your fastball is down 2 miles per hour. There's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Because I look at his first game at home at Colorado, and he gave up a lot. He got 8 strikeouts, but he gave up 3 bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't remember.
His hard contact is crazy high right now, man. His hard contact.
Yeah,
is crazy
I get it, and that's his velocity. But isn't he one of those kind of guys? I think last year didn't we have the same kind of problem at the beginning of the year, and then he worked through it, and he had a really good end of the season.
It's possible. It's possible. You know what, man? Let's move on to these next games. We got a few to get to here. We still got a golf show to do. Rick Porcello with the Boston Red Sox visiting Tyler Skaggs, a lefty from the Angels. We do have a total here of 8.5. The Angels minus 133. Home favorites. The Angels have been my dudes. Although today David Price made them look silly. What you got here, man?
Yeah, so I'm going to stack the Angels here against Porcello. I think it's a good thing to do. Porcello looked amazing against the Yankees a couple games ago. He was just looked really good. So I do have some concerns there, but I think the Angels are just a really good hitting team. They don't seem to strike out a lot, so I can go there. And I think you can stack Boston against Tyler Skaggs. I don't think he's a good pitcher, so that's really what I would do.
All right. Yeah, I'm not messing with Boston, man. They got to my boy Ohtani. They got to my boy today, man. Mookie Betts hit 3 home runs today, man. Oh my God. I'm not picking on Boston. I'll play some Boston stacks, and they will be chalky because of what they did today. I don't care. I'm still going to play some, and I'm going to go back to the Angels, man. Porcello's actually looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie. He's been a little impressive this year, but I like these Angels too much. Ian Kinsler, Zach Cozart, some of these guys have amazing numbers off the suit. Calhoun, yes. Give me some Angels. I will be playing some Angels for sure. There's a reason that Tyler Skaggs is favored over Rick Porcello. There is a reason. And the Angels about to come through again tomorrow. Let's do it. Next game, we got Kenta Maeda of the Los Angeles Dodgers visiting Luis Perdomo of the San Diego Padres. I'm sorry, Patio Joe's Los Angeles Dodgers. I should have said. Oh, Casson DFS's Red Sox. Look at me, man. I'm just effing up everywhere. Total here is 7.5. San Diego a plus 148 home underdog. What you doing with the boys in blue in LA?
Yeah, so Kenta Maeda, I always worry about him. He always seems to have a short leash. He doesn't go deep into ball games. He's probably going to be on an 80 to 90 pitch count here. If he's pitching well, he can get some strikeouts here. Padres definitely strike out. Not as much as they did last year. I have a little bit of interest in him. I saw what what's his name did today. What's his name? Alex Wood pitched really well against Padres. So I could see it again here. I could see Kenta Maeda going there. There's a bunch of righties here that are good, but the other side though, there's some dangerous bats here. Frenchie Cordero, very good right-handed hitter. Right-handed pitcher hitter. He's a good lefty. I like him a lot. And then you have this Villanueva kid who's really good. And let's not forget Cash's boy Hunter Renfroe. If he makes this lineup here. He's a better hitter against lefties, but he can definitely hit righties as well. I don't know if I want to play Kenta Maeda. I have to look into a little bit more here. But I'm really always worried about him with the short outings that he can get. So He's not a guy that typically pitches in deeper in the ball games. But Tyson Ross, I really want to stack all the lefties against him. So I think all the Dodgers are in play. And then I think you can take the lefties on the Padres.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is a spot. I'd like to play Maeda. I know he hasn't looked all that great, but he did look pretty good in his first start. So I'd like to play Maeda. You make a good point, Johnny. He's got a little bit of a short leash. I know that this game's in extra innings right now. It's 136 on the East Coast, and I know this game is still playing in extras. So we'll see how long they go. If they go long, if they end up exhausting some bullpen, maybe the Dodgers won't have a choice but to play Maeda a little bit. So we want to keep an eye on that. But I do think that I kind of like I do like Maeda's K upside here. Price is a little high here, but it makes more sense paying for a guy like him because he does have tremendous K upside. The issue is some of these Padres have gotten to him in the past, so there's definitely some concern there. So I think that if you are playing Maeda, the Padres hedge stack is a necessity. If you're playing multiple lineups, of course. Let's move on to this last game, Johnny. We got Garrett Cole. This guy just looks brand new. This guy's looked amazing. Garrett Cole of the Houston Astros visiting Mike Leake of the Seattle Mariners. Looks like we have a 8-run total, and Seattle is a plus 150 home underdog. Talk to me about the last game on the main slate.
Yeah, so Garrett Cole's the top dog to pay up for tomorrow. He got a little bit of a price decrease. He's 11-9 on DraftKings tomorrow. I think he's in play. I just don't think there's a lot of strikeouts here in this lineup for him. Definitely a pesky hitting team. Bunch of good lefties here. You got D. Gordon at the top, who could also steal some bases. You got Robinson Cano. You got Kyle Seager's kind of struggled, but working through it. So I don't know if I really want to go to Garrett Cole tomorrow because I just don't think there's that massive strikeout upside. And he's been pitching out of his mind. I think that there is going to be some regression that comes to him. I don't think he's that good of a pitcher as he's been showing us right now. I think he's a good pitcher. I just don't think he's this elite guy out of nowhere. I don't think just changing teams and then you're a great pitcher. So I'm probably going to pass them on his price. I like some other guys here a little bit cheaper, and I might actually play some of these Mariners against them.
Yeah, my first instinct looking at Garrett Cole, who's just looked phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on the dude. The guy has looked incredible. But my first instinct here is to think okay, a lot of people just saw what McCullers did to these guys. And McCullers is a guy who has a nasty, nasty curveball. Garrett Cole, although he's been throwing his slider more this year, over 60% of his pitches, this year his fastball is 53.2%. He's throwing it a lot less. He's throwing 21.5% sliders. Compare that to 17.2 last year. He's throwing 17.8% curveballs. Compare that to 12.2% last year. So that's the main difference. That's how he's getting all these strikeouts. He's not afraid to throw his breaking pitches, and they're actually working. But historically, Garrett Cole has always been a fastball pitcher. I think he's finally learned his fastball is just not good enough anymore. You got guys like Ohtani throwing 100 miles an hour, Thor throwing 100 miles an hour. If you throw 95, shit ain't good enough no more, man. It's just not. So he's been throwing his breaking pitches more. I have been impressed. I expect Cole to be popular here, especially after what McCullers did. But I don't mind taking some of these bats. I think that it was a different profile. McCullers has a nasty curve, and he throws it a ton. Garrett Cole is still not throwing his off-speed pitches all that much. He's still going to throw a ton of fastballs. So I do like Garrett Cole, but I think that hedge stacks are definitely viable with the Seattle bats here. And then this guy Leake, man. I mean, I don't know what's going on with I don't know what's going on with Houston, man. I don't know what's I don't even know. I have no idea what's going on with them, but I mean, they should crush this kid. They really should. They're better against righties anyway. They should crush this guy. I'm going to play some Houston stats.
They should have crushed today.
They should have crushed today. But I'm going to go back to the well, man. I don't want to miss it when these guys erupt. I don't. And, I'm just going to try to it's like an Iron Man game, man. You're just waiting out everybody else. Like, how many people are going to keep playing them before nobody plays them because they're tired of it? And then that's the day th're going to go off. That's just how it's going to go. That's going to do it, man, for the Wise Take game-by-game breakdown. Real quick, Johnny, I'm going to remind the nation first before we do some Dong Watch. I'm reminding the nation, if you're watching us and you haven't already, check us out at wisetake.com. I do not know what you are waiting for. We got all kinds of sports. We got a PGA Wise stream coming up right after this for Thursday's golf. We got everything, man. MMA, NASCAR. We still got NBA playoffs rocking. And, of course, we do MLB every day. $2.50 gets you in for MLB access for an entire day. That's one full day of MLB access. We got articles, cheat sheets, projections. Tomorrow's the early slate. We're going to have I know we're not going to have a Wise stream for the early slate. We're going to have that for the main, but I'm sure Johnny and I will be writing our articles in the morning for you guys. So definitely hop aboard, man. Tomorrow's a great day. You get the articles in the morning. You get articles and the cheat sheets and the white streams for the main slate. It's a great day to try it. $2.50 gets you in the door. MLB only access for a full day. Come check us out. There's no excuses. You can afford it. You play in DFS, you can afford $2.50. Don't give me that shit. All right. With that said, Johnny, we're going to do some dong watch here, man. We would normally do some top three. We're just going to pick some home runs. So you get first pick. We'll do infielder, outfielder, utility. Okay?
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to take one off the board here, and I'm going to go with Cole Calhoun.
Ooh, yeah. I like that call. I like that. That is off the board. I'm with that. Now I've got to pull up the old machine here. I will go with, give me Michael Conforto. Give me Michael Conforto in the warmer weather.
Okay. I'm gonna up you on this one. I'm gonna get laughed at, but here's a troll of the night on Twitter, Adrian Gonzalez.
You. That is a troll move right there. That is a big time.
I'm gonna get trolled on this one.
That is
if
a
it
big time
happen,
troll move right there. I'm not gonna say a word because last time I laughed at you. To do Win Yard. And had a monster game, so I'm just gonna shut up and just take that, and I'm gonna keep it moving. I think I'm gonna roll with who do I want? I'm gonna go with these Angels too, man. I'm gonna go with Ian Kinsler. Ian Kinsler has a dong tomorrow. Huh? Wait a minute, is that
okay.
Yeah, okay, that's infielder, outfielder. There you go. Okay.
I don't want to give an obvious one because those are you can get those. You can find those any day. Let's go with Marcelo Ozuna as my utility.
Marcelo Ozuna, okay. I will roll with we want to talk about off the board. We can go off the board. Give me Brian Dozier against Carrasco. Hey, you want to talk about off the board? That's off the board right there. I mean, well, not him. He's a great player, but Carrasco is very good.
He's a good player.
Carrasco's very good, though. So that's going to be
like if you would have said like he hired Adrianza or whatever.
I'm being contrarian enough.
I would be like, that's off the board.
I'm being contrarian enough. Picking against Carrasco. Give me a break.
Okay.
Give me a break. Okay. All right, Nation. That's going to do it for us. So if you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up.
He's got 3 home runs, though. He's got 3 home runs.
He's got a 192 average. He's also struck out 6 times. I mean, come on. He's got a 192
home runs. It's home run or nothing, baby.
Home run or nothing. That's exactly it. It's home run or nothing. That's why he's viable, but he's still, I don't expect a lot of people to play him. So if you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. If you're watching on Facebook, please like and share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching us on Twitter, the new Twitter machine, please retweet this. Tell your friends about it. Retweet it, like it, follow us on Twitter. And of course, if you are listening on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews, help us out, bump us up them charts. We ask you to do these things. It helps us keep doing these shows for free for you guys. So please, please, please do what you can. Whatever platform you're watching, support us on it, and we'll keep bringing you that hot fire on these late night DFS shows. Johnny, closing thoughts, and we're out of here.
Aegon bomb for all the money tomorrow.
All right. Well, not the closing thoughts I expected. So, for Johnny the Greek, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Chip it.